Okay, here we are again. This is take 2 on this video. We tried it earlier, but the laptop that I normally use to record these videos is not capable of rendering the Mansions of Madness app while simultaneously capturing video and audio from the feed here. So we had to go with a whole new setup. But this new setup seems to be working out really well. And as you can see here, what we're going to be doing today is a playthrough of Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition. It's going to be a lot like the Star Trek playthrough I did, except we're going to play through a whole game. Part of that is because there are so many rules and little things with this that there's no way to structure this to show all of them in any particular order. They're going to come up when they come up. I think it'd also be just good to have a whole playthrough on the channel. And we'll try to keep the first couple of turns as much tutorial as possible. This first video, I'm going to try to shoot through the components real quick to show you what you get in this box. Now you can see it's a pretty big box. It's not exactly full when you get it. There's not enough to fill this box, but I think it's designed for those of us that had all of the first edition stuff. If you had all the first edition stuff, you're going to fill this box and more. We filled 2 boxes with this stuff. Inside, you're going to get 2 rule books, a learn to play book, and the rules reference, which I think is invaluable. The frequently asked questions book, I'm very glad, comes in all the games nowadays. Now, mine is a mixture of first and second edition stuff, and it's really hard to differentiate the first edition from the second edition stuff. But you're going to get a bunch of tiles. We have just a metric ton of tiles because we had everything for the first edition of the game, plus everything for this edition of the game. And you're going to end up with just a ton if you have both. Even if you don't, you still get quite a few tiles. It says here you get 24 total map tiles. And given the way they do things, that gives you just a ton of variation on the maps that you're going to get. Now, you also get, this says it comes with 8 investigator cards. And this is how many cards you get if you have the first edition figures. It comes with all these cards in the game, just not the figures themselves. So if you don't have the figures, you could proxy them or whatever. But if you do have all the figures, you're going to have, there's 40 characters there. There's a ton anyway. And as you can see with each card, they have the health and the sanity in the middle there. Portrait to the left, and along the right are their attributes. And on the back is a little bio. Then there's also the miniatures themselves. Again, if you have all the first edition stuff, you're going to be able to fill up 2 little tins like this with figures. And the stuff from second edition come on gray bases. They look like that. But as you can see, if you put them next to figures from first edition, they're really quite indistinguishable. They did an excellent job of making sure that first edition things didn't stand out from second edition. So they integrate quite seamlessly. You also are going to get a number of cards and tokens. Like these here are status tokens. They call them condition cards. Look like that on the back. Then the other side, there'll be a number of different conditions. Focused, dazed, things like that. So if anything happens to your character, you don't necessarily have to remember the rules. You just take a condition card and keep it next to your character sheet. There are the spell cards. According to this, there are 30 spell cards. I believe 6 spells, 5 cards each. And you'll see they're double-sided. One just tells you when you're going to cast the spell, flip it over and do what it says on the other side. And then the other side is going to have consequences for using the spell. And then you'll draw another version of the spell. And all the backs are different. So the consequences could be different every time you use it. It's a lot like first edition. That hasn't changed a whole lot. There are 24 unique item cards. They have cool little gold backs. These are things like keys, mystical items, one-of-a-kind things, quest items, things of that nature. Then there are also, what do they say here? 40 common item cards. They have a little, like, satchel back. Some of them do. Some of them are double-sided. Like the handcuffs are double-sided. You see, handcuff picture, stuff on the back. But you're never going to have these randomly, so it's good to have them in alphabetical order because it'll tell you to take whatever. Take the 2x4. I can't think of anything where it's ever said take a random calming card. Oh, let's see. That might be it for the card. So, nope, we're missing damage and horror. Where are the damage and the horror cards? There we go. Here are the horror cards. Now this is how you record sanity damage in this edition of the game. What you have is you have this deck of cards, and when you suffer a sanity damage, you take a card, flip it face up. You'll do whatever it says there on the card. Not sure how these are coming across, but this says Nyctophobia. Keep face up. Whenever you end your turn in a space with darkness, you suffer one face down horror. And then once you suffer enough of these horror equal to your sanity, you become insane. So you would take one of these insanity cards, which are all the same on one side. They're all different on the back. And they're going to change the way you play your character and could possibly change the way you win the game. You know, normally when you start a scenario, you're going to have a way to win the scenario based upon the scenario, but these sanity cards can change that because you go crazy, and your win condition may now be have a certain number of rooms on fire. And there's an equivalent with the damage. You have the little damage on the back. Then you would, if you suffer a damage, you take it, flip it face up, do whatever it says. Like this one says, ruptured eardrums. Roll one fewer dice when resolving agility tests. There's also a wounded condition card that is currently missing. We'll find it before we do the setup video. But it's like insanity. It'll do something, I believe. Then we have these dice here. We also have some D10s that I just threw in there from another game. But the actual dice for this game are these D8s. I don't think it comes with quite enough of them, especially for the price point of the game. But you see there's a blank side, a clue token side, and a Cthulhu symbol side. Cthulhu symbols count as successes. Clue symbols are potential successes. They let you spend clue tokens for successes, and the blank sides are failures. And then we have a number of tokens that we'll see here. These two boxes are people tokens. This one is just like silhouettes. Just generic little silhouettes. Then that box is specific individuals. It'll tell you to put out whoever in the game, and it represents a specific person. And then the app will tell you how to manipulate that person throughout the game.
And it says their name on the back.
Then you have Explore and Sight tokens. That's the Explore side. That's the Sight side. The Explore side means you can take this token and then open up a new map tile as an action. The Sight token means you can just do it. Once you enter that space, you can get rid of this token and reveal a map tile. These tokens are used to identify monsters. So if you have two different zombies on the board, the app will tell you put one symbol on one base and the other symbol on the other base, and that way you can differentiate between them in the app. These are like walls, doors, paintings, various things that will let you essentially close off doors. So if there's a door on the tile and they don't want there to be a door, so like, see there's a door there, and if the app says, well, you don't want there to be a door because you're not going to explore there, put a painting there instead. So now there's a painting, and it might tell you to put a clue token or something on there or whatever, so you can investigate the painting. It's a neat way for them to be able to manipulate the board. And then these are the actual clue tokens. You'll collect these for your investigators, and you can spend them for successes and things of that nature. So we just hit 10 minutes. The last thing we have are monster figures. The game comes with, what does it say here? 24 monster tokens. But we have an entire table full of monsters, because again, we had everything from the first edition of the game, and they give you everything you need to be able to reuse those miniatures. You'll need the miniatures and the base from the first edition, but it gives you the little card. The only problem we had was we had 4 more cultists.
6 more.
We had 6 more cultists than they gave us little cardboard things for. So one of the cool new figures was this one. I love this guy. But that's it. I mean, we have a metric ton of figures. I'm not going to show you them all. But it says it comes with 24. And one of the cool things in the back of the reference book, so if you're looking to see how to put things on, it shows you what the monsters are for this edition. So I thought that was pretty cool. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the components of the game. I really can't think of anything components-wise aside from, like, this is from first edition, and he goes on his base like crap. But you don't want to glue them because these holes go right down into the cardboard.
Yeah, on the big bases it's not as bad, but it's directly over it.
But, some of these they don't go on their bases very well. But really, that's it. Other than that, I think they integrate first and second edition stuff seamlessly. You might be able to tell on the tiles if you really look, because of different borders, but other than that, you're not going to know you're playing 2 different editions of the game rolled into one. My only primary problem is the price point of this game is very steep. It's a retail price of $100. I got it from miniaturemarket.com for $85. You might be able to get it even a little cheaper than that on Amazon or eBay if you really look. The price point's a little steep, but if you have the first edition stuff to supplement it, I think it's worth it. I think the game's very fun, and hopefully, as you'll see through this playthrough, you'll agree with me. So we're going to go ahead, stop the video here, and we'll be right back with the app. We'll walk through a little bit on the app, and then we'll do setup.